Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to Yoga with Lynn and Leo.
Yes, and today we're going to be practicing a routine which is supported for menstruation, but also you can use this routine if you're feeling fatigued or you just need to have a little bit more input in a restorative way.
Yes, there are always times in our lives when we need a little bit of a quiet practice that's not as demanding. And this is a really nice practice sequence to do.
Okay, now we're going to be timing the poses. So I have my phone here, so it's not that I'm going to make a phone call, I'm just going to put my timer on. Because you're going to be in the poses for long periods of time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And when you're in the pose, it's just there to just surrender and explore and calm the nervous system.
And because the poses are supported, you will need some equipment. You can always make do with other things if you haven't got standard yoga equipment. But what we're using today is a bolster, a blanket, a belt. You might need a long belt. 2 further blankets that have been rolled, but you can use a couple of cushions. We've also got a couple of foam pads and a chair. I know it sounds like a whole lot of equipment, but as I say, you can always use other stuff. And sorry about that, that's the noises of the ambulance because we're on a hospital route here.
Yes, okay, so hopefully you're on your mat and you've got a little bit of equipment or something that looks like this. If you haven't and you really enjoy our videos, then of course do invest in a kit set, because once you've got it for life. Alright, so you can see that Leo's starting by sitting on her bolster, and she has the blanket behind her for her head, but she's starting on the bolster. And I want you all to sit in your Konasana in this way on the bolster. And then this is always a bit tricky. If this is the first time you've come into Supta Konasana with a belt, then just take a few moments to have a little look.
So the belt comes around your waist. You can see that I've got the buckle so I can pull it towards me, that tag end. Goes inside the knees, under your feet.
So you can see that the belt behind Leo, it needs to go right down onto the sacral area. So make sure that that belt is pressing down firmly. So when you come into your Supta Konasana, you just slip yourself off of the bolster so that the tailbone lengthens towards the heels, and then keep the chest nicely open. Roll your shoulders back and down and lengthen back onto the bolster. So remember what I said, it's lengthening. So for Leo, she would stay here probably without any support, but I'm going to put some support underneath her, underneath her legs, underneath her thighs. And as Leo said, you can just have a couple of settee cushions. That would also work well. So I'm just going to put my timer on because all of you will probably be in this position as well. So we're just going to put the timer on for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So I've just got to see here. Alright. Okay. So when you're in this position, you can see, no, you can't see anything because you should be lying down on your bolster. So when you're lying down on your bolster, just be sure that your arms are rolling so that the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. And you have this really lovely softness around the forehead, around the facial features, around the eyes. Just let everything become very smooth, very settled, and incredibly soft. Release around the cheeks, the facial area between the lower eyelid and the top of the lip, and release the back teeth. And now just observe your breath as you take the inhalation and exhalation, and just note how the ribs start to broaden, expand and open on that inhalation. And just be in that position, quietly observing. And as you observe, just see that there is a wonderful surrendering of the tensions, just letting go and just being very deeply involved with this relaxation. So soft inhalation, soft exhalation. Just feel as you're going deeper and deeper into your practice that you're withdrawing. So you're moving away from any thoughts, any afflictions, and you are completely withdrawing inside. So you become detached just for a few moments, so you can observe that wonderful gift of breath, the quietness of the mind, the opening and extension and length of the body. So it's soft inhalation and exhalation. Okay, so we're coming out of this position, so bringing now your senses back to your physical body, bringing those thighs together, so you may have to lift the feet up a little bit. You can kick the belt away from the feet, and then just bring the legs together and roll to your right side. And then when you're ready, coming up into a seated position. Okay, so it's a really nice way to start any recuperative practice. If you're not feeling up to your regular practice, it's a really nice way to calm the nerves and improve your vitality. So we're going to come forward, seated poses now. The first pose is Janu. We're going to be showing you extending forward in a really nice symmetrical way, but also in a way that is approachable and passive. So the action is passive. If you've got very, very tight muscles, then nothing is passive, but we have to make friends with those difficult challenges and move through them with softness. That's the key. So you can see Leo's getting her props ready for Janu. Now when you come into Janu, this is when you come into a half Baddha action. So you'll be familiar with one of the legs, it's just what we've been practicing. So sitting in Dandasana, rolling your shoulders back and down, and then just taking your right leg out to the side. Yeah, that's it. Now, if you're unsure of this pose, then do have a look at our pose directory on how to go into Janu. But for now, just be sure that you're keeping that straight leg so that the right leg is absolutely straight and strong. And we're going to reach towards the chair. So some of you may find it difficult to reach towards the chair, and therefore you will be practicing in a more upright position. But eventually you reach, you wait until those hamstrings, the backs of the straight leg are extending. Wait for that extension. Just see that you lift from the base of the body and you come into a resting position, resting the forehead onto the support. So hopefully you're in this position. Now some of you may find that this is a little bit restricted being on the chair. There's always something you can learn from very good symmetry, but if you wish to go a little bit further down, then you can place the bolster onto the lower leg and go as far as that. So once you're in it, then I will be timing you again, and you're going to be in this pose for 2 minutes now. So when you're in this position, you have to see that you root down into the base. So I know that we're always trying to correct our angles and our straight legs, but with this action, because you are resting your head, it's quiet, it needs to be quiet. So it's more of a deeply seated action rather than aggressively pushing or trying to get the correct symmetry. You're just here, you're just in this position. Breathe in softly, smoothly and quietly. And those of you who have gone for the option with the support on the lower leg, then be sure that you're not overly straining in this pose. You need to surrender so the back muscles become your anchor. So they have to move towards your thigh. If you're on the chair, then of course you're working again very much in the base of the pose. And be aware of your breath, how we were explaining in Supta Konasana, how important it is to become aware of that internal breath. And each time you find that breath, just see that you find it's moving a little bit deeper and deeper. You're going through those layers. So the breath now isn't on the surface, it's a little deeper, and observe that. Okay, so it's time. That's 2 minutes coming up. Straightening the legs, and we'll come to the other side. So we're going to come to the other side, so that is taking your left leg out to the side now. Now make your necessary adjustments to straighten up, pull the buttock flesh away from the buttock bone. See that you are concentrating on that center direction, drawing that lower abdomen towards the spine side, and then coming forward when you're ready. And resting the forehead. I'm going to be timing you now and again. Be aware of your base, be aware of the right leg, the straight leg. And see that you are rooting down. There's a broadness of the back of the thigh. There's a broadness on the angle. There's a softness in your breath, your inhalation, your exhalation. So soft inhale, soft exhale. Just keeping the mind very quiet. Distract any afflictions by going back to observing your breath. And if you find that you're releasing the muscle tension, it may be that in between the timings that you take the chair a little bit further away from you so that you can go a little bit further and a little bit deeper. keeping that quietness, that softness in the action. Okay, so now and it's time to come up. So it's really good to stay in these supported passive practices for a little bit longer than you would normally. So we come into Triang Mukhaikapada.
Triang Pada. Triang Paschimottanasana.
No, we can't do that. I'll have to cut it.
Okay, so just stay where you are. Stay where you are. All right. And we can.
Do you think we can cut it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay where you are.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So stop. Yeah. Have a break.
Okay, so we come to our next pose, Triangle Mukhaikapada Paschimottanasana. So it's a little bit of a mouthful, this one. But this is when we come into a Virasana leg. So we're still having the forward bend quite in action, but now we're going to take the right leg into a Virasana leg. Okay, so you can see that Leo's making these adjustments. So you have to see that the calf is softened, so it's not actually overly rigid, so you can actually go back. And now also, because of the lopsided action of this pose, you can place something, a foam pad, you can see Leo's got a foam pad here, underneath your left buttock. So this goes underneath the inner buttock to the outer buttock, so that there's a levelness here. Now if you find that you're really lopsided and it's getting a little bit difficult in terms of coming forward, then you need to go a little bit higher with this support. Alright, roll your shoulders back and down, extend forward now, so we're going to come forward to the chair. So I'm going to put my timer on, so hopefully you're all working towards getting into this action. Let the forehead release onto the bolster. Just a soft inhale and a soft exhale. So again, when you're in this pose, there is a surrendering of rooting down into the earth. So that straight leg has got to be absolutely straight and strong, but also there is this broadening and opening of the back of the thigh. So we have to see that the thigh bones of that straight leg are really weighting down towards the floor side. And then of course the Virasana leg, being sure that the little toe is moving towards the floor side. And again, if you're really unfamiliar with this pose, do have a look at the pose directory. But for this moment in time, just see that you settle, just see that you observe your breath, and you soften and release into the action. So there is so many benefits, well there are so many benefits of extending in this way to the chair where there's more symmetry. So it's a soft inhalation, soft exhalation. Being sure that the abdomen is soft, it's drawing back to the spine, You're getting that lift in the anterior spine. So we're going to change the legs now, extending the legs out in front, and then taking your left leg back. Take your left leg back. And so you can see Leo's making some adjustments to her legs here, trying to be sure that that calf is not restricting the knee in any way. And if you do need a bit more support than just one foam pad, then do by all means use a little bit more support. Lift up, chest up, and start your extension forward. Reach. And again, although I haven't mentioned it on this side, if you want to take this bolster onto the thigh, then onto the lower leg, should I say, then that's absolutely fine too. It's nice though to use the chair to get that symmetry and understanding. So when you first start the action, the posture, you have to see that you are making those small corrections to start with, being sure you're extending that straight leg, heel extending away from you, toes towards you, and be sure that that straight leg is grounding very strongly down. Softening your abdomen and just seeing that you are just relaxed in this position. So it's passively working. The body still needs to be supported by becoming more aware of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, the length from the pelvis all the way up towards the ribs. And just let the breath be your main focus. So this is time to really settle that nervous system. This is your time, your recuperative time. This is when you recharge, become a little bit more quieter, softer, and observe the breath. We're coming out of this pose. Now we come to the next forward action. Now there's a choice here. So straighten your legs out into Dandasana if you haven't already. So it's either repeating Janu which is the first forward bend we did, or Ardha, Padma, Paschimottanasana. So when you come into this action, if I just show, just quickly, just moving the support just to the side for a moment. So when you come for Ardha, if you have got restrictions in your hips, then you do need to have support, which we will go through. But if you're not familiar with the action, then this is the action when you come into half Padmasana. Now what's really important about this action is that you don't overstrain, pull, because when your body's not ready to come into these very deep angle actions, it's better to work more on the supportive practice and try to get this opening in your standing poses. So when you're here, if you're able to do, then you will go on to the forward bending action, keeping the legs straight, extending onto the chair still, or if you were taking the option of the bolster as we suggested, then you would come forward to the bolster, extending in this way. Okay, so Leo's going to show you here now how she's supporting her leg in the Ardha Padma. Now you can see she's rolled up quite a big roll. I mean, this is a really big roll. We always used to say this was the extra leg, it's the third leg. So when she brings the leg up, it's completely supported in this way onto the rolled blanket. And if you're finding it challenging, then this is the one of the areas that's really important to support, because this area tends to drop down and it ends up having a knock-on effect in the knee and the hips, so you don't want that. Okay, so if you find this absolutely impossible, then go back to the first pose that we did, which was the angle, the half angle pose, which was Janu. Okay, so again, you've got 2 minutes in this pose. So if you do find it challenging, then you can do your Janu. So what's very important here is that you get this really wonderful extension in the straight leg. Straight leg is grounding down, it's weighting itself down. And the bent leg, you know, you have to see that if it's supported, that you are lifting up out of the pelvis. So the beautiful thing about using the chair is that you keep the symmetry of the pose. And this is really important because it is a really challenging action. It's a half Padmasana action. So just be in this action, softening the breath, seeing that you're grounded nicely. Let the facial features completely release. So if you are struggling, then you have to find some quietness in the pose, and that's why it's important to use some support, as Leo's using the support here, or going back to the Janu action. So I'm going to leave you in it for a few moments, just observing your breath, just quietening down, letting that mind completely quieten so that you can observe your internal breath. Okay, so we're going to come up and change the side, straightening the legs in Dandasana. Taking your left leg either into Janu or Ardha Padma or Paschimottanasana. So when you come into this action again, don't strain, don't overstrain. And as we've said before, if any of these poses, it's your first time to practice in them, then do have a look at our pose directory. Extending forward, I'm going to time you in this pose, so I know you won't be looking at the video. So in this pose, we're going to be this side 2 minutes. So again, it's a challenging action, Ardha Padma. So see that you work on your base and ground down into that straight leg. And as you ground down, root down the back of the thigh and lift from the lower abdomen. And when your head is rested in this way, start to smooth and soften the facial features, but also any thoughts that start to come into the mind, come to the internal action of the breath. So see that you're breathing softly, inhale, exhale, so that you're gradually just becoming more and more rested, passive, quiet. So there's no struggling in this action. So I'm going to go quiet just for a few seconds now until we come out of the pose. So just be in your own space. Okay, so we're preparing to now come out of the action and releasing, coming up. Straightening your legs. Okay. So now we come for Upavistha Konasana. So this is a wide-legged action. I'm going to move the chair now because we're still going to use the chair for symmetry, but the legs are going to be really nice and wide. Now you may need to sit on some support. A folded blanket is usually quite a useful support to have. So sit on a blanket. This will help you to come forward. It kind of throws you forward. If you find forward bending really a struggle, then sit on two foam pads or a couple of blankets. Now be on the very centre of the heel bones and ground down into those legs, and see that your base is really stable. So quite often the mistake in these forward bends is when we work the sacral area, it becomes a little bit unstable and push our bellies forward. So we've got to make sure there's a connection with the back of the abdomen and the spine as you come forward. So get that stability first and then extend forward. And I will time you. You're going to be in this pose for 2 minutes. So go on to your support. Sometimes we work with the bolster along the centre of the spine, so that may be an option for you. So let the head just release onto the bolster. Ground down with your legs, your thighs, and just be passively, quietly working. Surrendering those legs, thigh bones, everything just grounding down. The eyes be soft, facial features soft. Soft inhale, soft exhale. So keep that attention to your breath. And again, as we said before, as this is a recuperative program, then of course we have to bring our focus inside. So now we're going to start to come up out of the pose and releasing the hands down. Okay, so we're coming into the Parsva action. So you're going to bring the chair over the right leg so that you're at an angle. You turn towards the chair and then again we come forward. So you're going to be in this pose for just only 1 minute. So coming into the Parsva action, drawing the abdomen towards the spine, keeping the breath smooth and even, soft inhalation, soft exhalation. So remember in this back leg, so when you're in the pose, the leg, which is grounding the action, the body goes forward, quite often that back leg starts to lift. So make sure you bring your attention into that back leg and just see that you root it down. Okay, now slowly coming up and bringing the chair to the other side. So I've just got enough space here to fit in the video. Okay, so turning towards the chair, and I'm going to start the time again for 1 minute. And again, that back leg needs to ground down as you start that revolving action, that turning action, ground down into your front leg also, but this is the side which is more weighted. So as you're weighting yourself over towards that front leg, see that the abdomen draws towards the spine side. So it's a soft action. We don't grip the abdomen, we just redirect it so it moves towards the spine. Slowly coming up and bring those legs together and just sit in Dandasana. So legs together, we know this pose now, taking the hands down beside you and lifting up. And just be aware of that quietness within your breath, the extension through the center of the body. Okay, so we're going to prepare now for chair shavasana. We have the chair here. So what we're going to do is to just place our legs on top of the chair. On top of the chair. So,
You can put a blanket on
yeah,
to make it nice and comfortable.
yeah. I mean, these chairs can be quite harsh really on the back of the legs. And especially if you're wearing shorts and you live in the UK, then it's a bit cold. So the chairs, the metal gets a little bit cold. So taking the legs onto the chair and releasing yourself back. Yeah, and this is where you need to do. Roll your shoulders back and down. And just be in your shavasana. So I will talk you through the first part of your shavasana, and then you can stay in the pose for as long as you wish to. So this is a beautiful way of working with the legs up onto the chair. It just really gives a softness to the abdomen. Be sure that you're rolling your shoulders back and down and there's an opening in your chest. Release around the forehead. Release it between the eyebrows. Release in the back teeth. Softening the throat. So just let your eyes completely dissolve inwardly. Just see that on each inhalation that you're feeling that broadness within the ribs, and as you release the breath, the ribs recoil, and then you just start the whole process all over again. Just be with your breath, be in your own space, and stay here for as long as you need to. This is the end of our video. We hope you enjoyed the restorative program, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.